Oh, that moon in Aries. It stirs up shit every single time. Welcome to the Awake Space Astrology Podcast. I'm Lori Rivers, and this is one heck of an episode for you. We're going to talk about September 22nd, what's in store for today, and what we have to look forward to moving through the end of the week. Because October is coming, and oh my God, that is a whole nother thing. All right, so today is September 22nd. The moon is at 20 degrees Aries as I speak, which means it's in opposition to Mercury. You can expect some pretty heated discussions, and they probably started earlier in the day. It's almost 12 noon Pacific as I make this podcast. Currently, Mercury is in a separating conjunction to my moon. It's squaring off with Pluto. In fact, it is moving into an exact square with Pluto today. So again, we can expect warring words, heated discussions, imbalanced communication, showing the cracks in systemic communications, showing the cracks in infrastructure. It's going to be a volatile next 20 hours because the moon moves 1 degree per 2.5 hours. So about the next 20 hours, we're looking at extreme volatility. Yippee skippy, because that moon is also squaring Pluto. So today and tomorrow, we are looking at some pretty bumpy, turbulent astral energy. Astral is emotional. That's what the astral is. And we're emotional beings. Doesn't matter how rational, logical you think you are. We are all emotional human beings, and we can be highly reactive. I want you to take deep breaths today before you post online or talk to someone or react in any way. Take a deep breath about 10 times because it's going to be easy to feel offense and to go on the offensive. And you might be firmly in your mind justified in your reactivity. It's just not going to go down well. All right. There's times where being right is important, and then there's other times it doesn't make a damn bit of difference if you are or you aren't. So the whole world does not have to agree with you. And that is important to remember too. I remember I used to get really, really mad at certain things, social things. I still do. But I also know there are people I'm never going to convince away from how they believe. So that is not where I put my energy. I ask that you be mindful in that for yourself today. You can argue all you want. Doesn't mean it's going to change a damn thing. There's people who want to get up on pulpits, who are going to want to share their truth. Ask yourself, is it going to get you what you want before you do it? This goes for everybody because we operate in a range of consciousnesses at the lower end of the scale, at our instinctual level. This is where things get beyond crunchy. This is where things get downright aggressive. I was talking to a good friend on Monday, and they were asking me how I could be supportive of people who had harmed me in the past. And I said, it's not about condoning them. It's not about approving of what they had done in the past. These particular people are now elderly, and I did not want to see suffering happen. That was point blank. No suffering. I don't want anybody to suffer. I don't care who it is. And I don't care that it came my way when I was young. I do care, but meanings I'm not going to cause the same time of suffering caused to me. Because when I look out at the world, almost all of the conflicts are, this person punched me, I'm going to punch them back. I'm going to now bomb them. They're going to bomb me back. We're going to have these things that go on. If you just frickin' stop instead of continuing the conflict ends. It resolves. Somebody has to stop at some point. Sometimes you just have to stop instead of taking vengeance or carrying a grudge. And over the next few days, the people who can stop, be non-reactive, those are the people who are going to have the most leverage. The more you react, even if you're dead to rights, the more you react, the more things are going to come back on your head. Okay? This energy is no joke. Let's talk about the energy. So with Mars in opposition to Mercury, the moon. Let me explain my own transits right now. I have freaking Mercury on my moon, squaring off with Pluto. And it's like my own personal Mercury retrograde. And Mercury isn't even retrograde. We're in the pre-retrograde. Okay, so pre-retrograde is not pre-shadow, okay? It's very important to have nomenclature, folks. Nomenclature is important. So pre-retrograde Mercury is starting to slow down. We will station on the 26th, and then we will be retrograde on the 27th. Don't whatever mean when it comes to how we name things. How we name things is important. Okay? That's where accuracy comes from. Where my inaccuracy is coming from right now is I have frickin' Mercury on top of my moon, square, transiting Pluto, opposing my sun. So that means Mercury is also square my sun and my Mercury. So if I misspeak or mistype something, my apologies in advance. Makes me cranky with this moon in Aries. Rawr. Sitting in a big old personal T-square. It's a bit uncomfortable. So what do I do when I know there's volatile energy? What do I do when there's volatile energy? Well, right now, I am literally sitting on the ground in the shade, making myself comfortable, watching butterflies, listening to the birds, feeling a very warm breeze come against my skin. Putting my feet on the ground. I am remaining grounded. I am remembering I am a child of Gaia. I'm keeping myself in my body as much as I can. Not being up in my head. Not being out of body. Not up above myself. Oh, that's a beautiful little bird. I just had a bird fly right over the top of my head and land on the branch above me in the pecan tree. It's a beautiful thing. I don't know what kind it is, but it's a sweet thing. When we can sit and connect to our surroundings, there is a calmness. And in that calmness, there is power. That's where the power is. Because the power is in the ability to make a decision. to come from a place of choice. Anytime you hear somebody say, well, I didn't have a choice. Didn't have a choice. That person did this, and so I had to. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You never have to do anything. You don't have to respond. You don't have to hit. You don't have to name call. It's not about being weak. It's not about being strong. You get to choose your reactions because there's a consequence to everything. And we might think some of the consequences aren't fair. But for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. That is physics. That is karma. And it's not about looking good to people. It's not about having the moral high ground. It's about having the power to make a decision responsively. And I urge you, over the next 20 hours, understand your agency. Because we have the equinox. It's not quite here as I record this. I gave, in my own personal Mercury retrograde, I gave the wrong information yesterday. It's the equinox today on the 22nd. That was in the astro alert, by the way. It's not quite yet. We're 2 minutes away from the sun ingressing into Libra. And the minute that sun ingresses into Libra, things will be highly out of balance. We're going to see where things are askew. And I'm betting there's going to be a whole lot of internet fights. I'm betting there's going to be a whole lot of keyboard warriors. I wouldn't want to be on Facebook right now. Of course, I never want to be on Facebook. I think it's a cesspool. I think it always has been. And I don't like Mark Zuckerberg. I think he's kind of a misogynist twat. Especially if you know the history of Facebook. To me, it's kind of like the AOL of social networking. AOL was such a boring part of the internet. I missed the internet being wide open. But you know, guys, it's important to choose your responses. And it's going to be real easy to lose our tempers. Real easy. This is one hell of a transit. And it kicks off the roller coaster doing a vertical slide downhill because October is coming. Now, I did the seminar on how to prepare for the end of 2021. If you're not prepared, you need to move your ass. If there's things you need in your daily life, whether it's food or medicine or parts for a car, if you haven't ordered that stuff, if you haven't gone out and buy it, get those orders done because the supply chain is going to be hosed. It's already screwed up. I've been talking about this since the spring. Now, I know not all of you were following me since the spring. So it may be new information for you. Get your stuff now. And practice being responsive versus reactive. You may have an anxiety disorder like PTSD or a trauma response. It is not an excuse for behavior. And I say that because I've been there. If sometime around 2008 or 2009, when I was really getting into the swing of the final stage of my healing journey. Sorry about that. My allergies are up. And it is allergies. There's all kinds of grass blooming right now. I was in the final stages of my healing journey, and I had a message board that had close to 10,000 people on it. It's called the Crochet Liberation Front, and it was on Ravelry. And I read somebody's comment wrong on my message board, and I blew up and went off and was completely reactive. And I almost blew up my own message board. And I found myself using PTSD as an excuse. And I'd been doing enough work in the several years I'd had the Crochet Liberation Front and been working on my own modality to heal and practicing being responsive, that when I gave the excuse and apologized and said, I'm sorry, I have PTSD, I was reactive, and I looked at it and I thought, wow, I am just hiding behind this. And I realized and took accountability, it was a hard pill to swallow, that I had been hiding behind my own lack of discipline over my own consciousness and allowing myself to be reactive because I'd bought into the idea, one, that it was never going to be any different. I wouldn't be able to heal because that's what experts had told me time and time again. And that I had given power over me to the trauma. And it let those bastards win again. Those same bastards I won't let suffer now, by the way. And I learned an important lesson. I think this was 2008, not 2009. In 2008, when I realized I was blowing up my own damn message board with my own reactivity and using the PTSD as an excuse, I had to take accountability. And so I turned around, and instead of deleting the comment like I wanted to and pretending like nothing happened, I was transparently honest and said, I have used this as an excuse. I could have stopped. I could have taken a moment. I could have walked away from my computer. I could have taken a deep breath and come back to it and read it with a new pair of eyes instead of being in my reactivity. It was very hard. I'm a very prideful person. It was very hard to make that admission that I had been hiding behind a diagnosis. Blaming triggers on my behavior. Instead of getting up and walking away and taking a breath and coming back and reading it again to make sure I understood correctly what was being said. I was just sure I was going to get tarred and feathered for it. I didn't. People accepted what I had to say. A few told me not to beat myself up because PTSD is hard, and yeah, it is. But you're not stuck with it either. And that was my point. Being reactive had impaired my relationships with people I cared about. It impaired my relationships with a community I believed in. And I had to ask myself, what was more important? Holding on to my trauma like it was a badge of honor or a Purple Heart of some kind. Or being functional at a high level. And having relationships and building community. And if I wanted that, if that was my ultimate goal, then I needed to be more responsive versus reactive. Now, it's not like I haven't ever reacted since then. Of course I have. We're human. We're human. But you're also responsible. Take 60 seconds to wash the hormones out of your system that are related to anger. 60 to 90 seconds. It's not very long. 60 to 90 seconds. Now, it can also feel like forever when you're reacting. And if you don't believe me, look it up online. 60 to 90 seconds. Dr. Jill Bolte-Taylor has a great video on that. It's called The Neuroanatomy of the Teenage Brain. Don't let the title fool you. She explains how your amygdala works. And if you didn't get the skills as a teenager, and most of us didn't, I sees you to be reactive. Even if you don't have PTSD, there's plenty of people. Almost everybody's had some kind of trauma and some kind of reactivity. Never think for a second that I am victim blaming or shaming here. When people say, oh, spirituality and psychology, it's just spicy psychology. Yeah, it is, because we are human beings with brains and brain chemistry, and the metaphysics is tied to that. We are human beings, okay, with bodies. And I don't care where you think your soul is from. You're in a physical body here on planet Earth. You have human DNA. And that means you have a brain. And that brain has chemistry. And your spiritual experience happens inside the body, not outside of it. All those people saying, you're not your body, you're not your feelings, you're not your mind. You kind of are. You kind of are all of this. You chose this experience. You chose the experience. We are everything. And it's easy to be reactive right now. Everybody, including me. Hell, I'm getting worked up right now. It's easy to be reactive in this energy. And I urge you not to be, because the consequences are swift. They are swift. This is fast-moving energy, and it just gets faster once the equinox hits in a couple hours. And you're probably listening to this once the equinox hit. Ah, more beautiful birds. So what can you do? Be in the present moment. Stop telling yourself stories. We've got the moon is in opposition to Mercury. Mercury is squaring off with Pluto. The moon is squaring off with Pluto. This is volatile energy. This is the energy where fights and wars can start. Road rage can happen at the lowest expressions, but at the highest expressions. If you can get there, and hell, I don't even know I can get there today, but at the highest expressions of this energy, when you make a deliberate choice on how you respond, how you communicate to yourself first, and then others, that's where you surf this cosmic tide like the great kahuna. If you haven't watched a Gidget movie, that won't make sense. They're from the 60s. They're before my time too, but I used to watch them on reruns. Take a breath. Put your feet on the ground. Feel your body in the present moment. Bring yourself inside of yourself and allow your mind to focus on something in the present. For me, it's the singing birds in the background. It's listening to a leaf blower over at the neighbors. It's looking at the grass and the leaves in the trees sway in the wind, and the light sparkle off of palm fronds You know, the light sparkling off of swaying palm fronds will always bring me into the moment because I didn't grow up with that. I grew up in the Northwest. Citrus trees and palm trees, they fascinate me. Am I avoiding anything in that? No, I'm bringing myself to the present moment, and from this space of relaxedness and calm, I have more power than if I allow the anger to surge through me and make me a victim of my brain chemistry. It takes practice, guys, so if you don't get it all right today, don't worry about it. It took me years and years of hyper-awareness practice, turning hyper-vigilance into hyper-awareness. In fact, I just found an old workshop I did back in 2016 where I taught people about hyper-awareness. And I thought, maybe I'll do another one of those. I've got to go grab my materials, but hyper-awareness. You can turn your reactivity into response, and doing that is where you have real power. It's not about bowling somebody over with your truth. It's not about winning the day. It's not about being right. It's about being effective and getting to an outcome. And we are moving into a time of absolute chaos. And if we don't become more responsive, the consequences are dire. It is a species imperative that we evolve forward and learn to communicate better. Learn how to respond versus react. Save the fight and flight for when a tree is falling. Save the fight and flight for when you need to get away from somebody who wants to hurt you. Differing ideals and beliefs do not threaten you directly. Even if somebody believes in that stupid Texas law, guess what? Fighting with them ain't going to change that law. So you either do something that helps people who are impacted by that law, you support the doctors who are breaking that law, or you vote and get involved in the local politics to change the power balance. But arguing online ain't going to do you a damn bit of good, even if you're right. Just like when I had to own up to being reactive, that I had allowed myself to be the victim of imbalanced brain chemistry, that I owned my diagnosis like it was some kind of badge or armor. Being accountable to self sometimes is humbling. But once I did that, my progress was so swift. When I finally understood, without a shadow of a doubt, if I took 10 seconds and got up off my computer and went and washed dishes or went and tended my garden or did something else and came back to it, I could see it with a new lens and a fresh perspective and respond even if I didn't agree. I know how hard it is. You're overcoming not just centuries but millennia of social and cultural programming, stories of redemptive violence. My friend said, it's because you're different. A friend I had a conversation with the other day, and I said, no, it is because I'm human. I'm not different than you. I am, and I'm not. I could heal because I figured out how And I figured out how by understanding how human beings work. It wasn't because I was different than other human beings. It was the sameness of my humanity that gave me the clues to healing. And it was doing things like changing my body postures, relaxing my body, very yoga-centered, doing self-care like getting massage or acupuncture to move the toxins out of my body, the toxins caused by those endocrine loads of cortisol and adrenaline. A lifetime of being hypervigilant, a lifetime of being triggered, a lifetime of having my body poisoned and being reactive. Understand this. I didn't heal because I'm smarter or better. I'm smart, I'm a genius. I was able to put together a lot of information. That helped. But the process of healing happened because I'm just as human as you. And not understanding where you fit into humanity puts you at a disadvantage. If you feel so terminally unique that you cannot be understood, that you're different than everybody else, you've just painted yourself in a corner. Seek the commonality. I went for physiology. As a human, I had a body. I had a brain. I had brain chemistry, just like everybody else. And it was that I addressed through a variety of processes. It took 5 years to go from being extremely off the charts ill with post-traumatic stress disorder and a variety of other trauma-related disorders to 0 clinical markers. And it really took about 4, but I gave a year to see if it would stick. And it did. And then I had to learn how to live being healthy. And that was a trick, because I couldn't use all the old skill sets. And I didn't have reactivity to fall back on. And I had to deal with stuff. And that's a whole nother story. So let's talk about why this is so important. October is coming. That's why it's important, because October, there's no breaks. Get yourself harnessed in. This energy is going to be crazy. We're going to talk about logistics. We're going to talk about supply chain. We're going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about reactivity in the next segment and the astrology that we are about to run into. And think of a slippery slide. Instead of water, it's got oil. So it's September 22nd. We are just a few hours away from the equinox. Venus is going to be in opposition to Uranus today, tomorrow, the next day. We're going to see financial meltdowns, probably. Although we could see a spike in crypto. Those oppositions and those squares tend to make crypto kind of balloon up, I've noticed. It's not trading advice, just observations. And I'm going to go through this, the energy of October with you a little bit, just to tell you what we're walking into. I got to pull up my list because, good Lord, I'm going to forget something. No. Well, my app quit out. How very Mercury square Pluto. Remember, on the mundane, it is the day-to-day mass consciousness, physical reality, the what isness in front of us. Okay, now on a personal level, each one of those days is a very powerful day if you choose to be responsive. You can have some of the best days of your life in that energy. If you're paying attention to the subjects of the day, where is the media putting your attention? Okay, I don't care what channels you watch. I don't care what social media you're on. I don't care what your viewpoints are. Pay attention to where people are putting your focus. Where are they drawing it to? Okay, because it's probably a distraction. All right. If they're trying to get you up in arms, if they're trying to get you outraged, if they're manufacturing, and I'm talking about the media in general, but if you're picking up and participating in that, you are reducing your agency in life. Until we see our commonality as human beings, we will have a hell of a time evolving. We are running into a climate crisis right now. We are smack dab in it. This affects everybody and everything. It is time to put the rhetoric down. It is time to put it down. We cannot afford that kind of thing. And yet there will be people who become more entrenched in their beliefs. And it's when you start acting in violence on those beliefs that it's a problem. And I think we're going to start seeing that this fall. It's going to ramp up, because people are believing there are some evil geniuses trying to strip them of their freedom. Honeys, the world is run by incompetent people. They just happen to be privileged. It does not make them smarter or better. And that is why individuals need to be involved in their local communities and their local areas. And if you don't like where you're at, get somewhere else if you can. Or find like minds. It's very, very important. It's very, very important. We have supply chain that is going to pretty much crumble in the fall. It's already weak. All of those planetary aspects I mentioned bring a lot of energy to a very strained global system. This is not just the United States. I realize the majority of my audience is in the United States, but for those of you who are not in the United States, this is a global issue. It is a global issue. It's going to impact transportation. It's going to impact infrastructures, financial systems, and we're going to start seeing some very angry behavior out of people who are frustrated and tired and demanding leadership out of people who really aren't competent to lead. And so this is why being highly responsive is essential. This is how you navigate this cosmic tide with ease and with grace as much as possible. It's going to be bumpy for everyone. For me, for you, for the Dalai Lama. Okay? For everybody. Doesn't matter what your spiritual practices are. Whatever they are, you're going to have to use them. Okay? You want to bring your energy into you. You want to stop spreading it out all over the place and stop tuning in to mass consciousness because it's not useful. Tune in to higher frequencies. Tune in to your higher self, and you do that by getting in your body and getting quiet. And if you want to know how to do that, wait for the next segment. We'll walk through that together. Okay? We'll walk through that together. Guys, I did a 2-hour seminar on this. A 2-hour seminar. And it is recorded and it is up on my website. And if you go to the link in the description, you can access that. I want you to understand the seriousness of the times we're walking into. I've been talking about this for months, and it's almost at hand. And on an intellectual level, I am fascinated, and I am almost excited to watch how it's going to play out. On a personal level, well, I know we're going to see a lot of things I'd rather not see, because there's a handful of people who are responsive. But it's never too late to start, and that's what I'm going to ask of you today. Start being responsive today with the moon in Aries. You get it under this energy, you're going to own this fall and winter. But you can't think like you used to think. You can't buy into the idea of good guys and bad guys. You just can't. You've got to own your power. And power isn't about dominance and control and forcing people to believe what you believe. It's about understanding you have agency and you can decide how you're going to move through life. And you can be like that squirrel I'm watching. It knows the weather's about to change. It's honestly not caring what any of the other critters are doing. It's looking for its resources. It's present in the moment. And that's what you need to do right now. It's what I need to do right now. You guys might wonder why I get so tired. It's because I'm looking out ahead. I like to live in the present. But I know we're running into bumpy territory, into crunchy territory, into contentious territory. And you guys need a heads up. So I live in the present way more than I want to. And no, I'm not looking even at 2024 right now. I don't want to. I don't want to feel into that. I don't want to tune into that. And it's not even a guarantee on how that's going to turn out right now. Because the more of you that can make a conscious decision in the moment to be responsive, to make a deliberate choice to bring your energy into yourself, the more we change the trajectory of the future. And I believe in you, and I believe you can do it. It's just taking a deep breath, it's moving through the feelings, not telling yourself the stories over and over and over again of how you've been wronged and how you've been hurt. That gives your power away. I'm not telling you to bypass it, and I'm not telling you to shove it. I've told the story before. The day I realized there was no justice for me, I was never going to get revenge. I was never going to see restitution for the harm done to me, immeasurable harm done to me. Because my abuse started when I was 2 years old. And it ended when I was 15, and it ended in a really traumatic way. It's the one memory that still causes me a great deal of pain. And the squirrel says, well, then stop telling that story, Lori. I've had world-famous psychologists break down and cry, and I've had to walk out and find another therapist because of my story. The day I realized I had no vengeance, I could not get my pound of flesh, I could not have justice, was the day I was free, because I had given those people so much power over my life. I had given them my agency, because the more I reacted, because I had a reason to react, justified. Oh my God, was I justified in my reactivity? You see, it's not about being justified. I wanted my life. I wanted to live. I wanted to live well. And as long as I told the story that gave them the power, and as long as I felt small and weak and bruised and battered and torn and twisted, they had the power. I didn't. That's what being responsive gives you. It gives you the power, and you need every ounce of your power. The power is in the noticing. The power is when you notice you're about to react and you choose a response. Now, you can choose an angry response. Not saying you can't, but make it deliberate. Don't just do it because you've got a story in your head that you have on repeat. Do what you can to bring your power into yourself. Stop giving it to other people. If that person made you angry, if that person gave you offense, guess what? Guess who has the power? It's not you. We'll do a meditation after the Patreon shout out and help you ground and help you notice and feel into your body, because that's where all the power is. All right, guys, it's time for a patron shout out, and then we'll do the meditation. I want to thank each and every one of my patrons. Each one of you is precious to me, and I mean that. Each one of you. We come from a very diverse set of backgrounds, different levels of education, world experience, cultural backgrounds, and world views. And that's something I love about our community. I love you all, each and every one of you. So with that, we've got a bunch of new patrons, and without you guys, this podcast wouldn't happen. So let's give a shout out and a big thank you to you all. We have Alexis, Susie, Laura, Catherine, Andrea, Luis, Eli, or Ellie, Kayla, Rebecca, Christina, Scarlett, Cynthia, Stacy, Kimberly, Kara, Alexandra, Jacqueline, Megan, Kim, RBF Champion, Shelby, Tanya, Laura Maxwell, EMP, ZDZ, Tiffany Lee, and Emily. And we've got in the patron Discord, I want to give a special shout out to Chris, to Kathy, and to Casey for being great moderators. It's been kind of busy in there. We had our own stuff happen in the server today, and I'm just going to remind everybody, the moon is in Aries. It's time to take a pause, take a breath, and remember that this community is a safe space for everyone, absolutely everybody, and I'd like it to stay that way. So for everyone that is in there. So just a reminder, and we'll get some bots in there. I don't have readings till later this afternoon, so we'll get some moderation bots in. It's time to get the traffic lights. And that's to be expected. It's volatile energy. But just remember, I love each and every one of you. So yes, I am an astrologer. And when I say I've been a metaphysician my whole life, I ain't lying. There are many grounding techniques you can use. Some people make them overly convoluted, in my opinion. But my favorite is to bring your awareness into the body. A lot of people have spent a lot of time up in their heads. And it's time to bring it in. And a butterfly flies by. And the wind is caressing me on this very hot day in Southern California. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to close our eyes. And we're going to inhale deep as you can through your nose. Take a nice, deep breath. And exhale slow. You can do it again. Inhale deep through your nose. And exhale deep through your mouth. And find that sense of calm and bring your energy out of your head, down through your body, moving through your torso, moving through your legs, into your feet, and down into the earth. Remembering that you are a child of Gaia in a human body. Regardless of where your soul is from, you are a child of Gaia, of Earth. If you're outside, feel the wind. Feel how it touches your skin, or just the air. Even if there's no breeze, what does it feel like? Are there microcurrents? What are the sounds around you? Is it still? Are there birds? Is there a rustling in the trees? Take a moment with your closed eyes to listen. Listen inward. You might hear your heartbeat. You might hear the ruckus of nature around you, a cacophony of sounds. You could hear traffic. It is not unnatural. It is part of our environment. You might hear the peeping of a squirrel telling its neighbor to back off the nuts. You might open your eyes and watch the leaves dancing on the breeze, or butterflies entwined in a dance of passion before they flit off to the next flower. Feel your connection to the ground, to the earth, to the moment. There's nothing but right now. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to say. Listen to the connection. You're not separate from the grass and the trees or the clouds in the sky. You share the same atomic nature. You are a spark of divine creation. Feel the truth of that all the way through your body. And if there's an emotional release, feel where that's happening. Feel if there's a block wanting to move and open. Feel into your head space. Is your forehead relaxed or is it calm? How's your throat? Feel into it. Breathe deep. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Just let the tension ease away out of the body. We are in these physical bodies at this time, in this place, for a reason. And it's to have experiences. Experiences, not perfection. Your great purpose is being here right now. Existing, living, breathing, feeling. Allow the energy to flow from your crown to your third eye, to your throat, to your heart. Feel into your heart space. Breathe in deep through the nose. Exhale, feeling your heart expand. This is for you. It's not to be a more loving person to other people. It's to be more loving to yourself. Love yourself, and the rest of the problems are solved. Feel the energy move from your heart down into your solar plexus, right in the middle of your belly. You might be a little tense. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Allow the energy to move through to your solar plexus, or from your solar plexus to your sacral. Really feel into that solar plexus, that seat of creativity. Breathe in deep. Exhale. Move the energy down into the root. Breathing in. Exhaling deep. Allowing the energy to flow down to your feet and into the earth, and let Mama Gaia embrace all of who you are. She doesn't need saving. She's here to hold us. And some of us will be held accountable. But she's there to empower her children. She's fine. Bring her love into you from your feet, into your root. You can breathe deep if you feel a block. You just breathe in through your nose. And exhale. Allow the earth energy to come into your sacral and energize your creative force. Exhale. Bring the energy into the solar plexus. Allow yourself to calm. Allow the energy to rise into your heart space. Connect to Mama Gaia, the earth, in your heart space. Remember, she does not need saving. She will bring things to balance. Allow the earth energy to connect you to her. This planet is far more powerful than we give it credit for. And you are part of this planet. Allow the energy to flow through you and in you to recognize your connection. Bring the energy up to your throat. Allow the energy to heal all those stuck words, all those stuck thoughts about yourself. Allow those to ease out and through, and the stories that no longer serve. Take a deep breath in and a deep exhale out. Allow the energy of Mother Earth, Mama Gaia, to flow into your third eye for clear vision. Inhale. Exhale. Bring the energy into your crown, the knowing of the planetary space, your connection with the earth and the cosmos. You divine child of the universe, you divine spark of creation. Feel your connectivity to the all that is. As above, so below, as within, so without. Deep breaths. Well, I feel relaxed. I don't know about you. I hope the meditation helps. Understand that you have a choice. You have agency. And it's not a blame thing when I say you have a choice. I want you to know your power. I want you to feel it in your body. And power isn't about dominance and control. That has been the lie for millennia. I was looking at my haplogroup. Ice Age, wanderers who blended with Neanderthals, most likely have Neanderthal DNA. We all come from somewhere. Human migration happened from the beginning. It's important to remember for all the dividing lines on race and color and politics. We are all one with the earth, each one of us. One of my favorite rules is to love one another. And that starts with loving yourself. If you don't love yourself, you can't love your neighbor. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. We see how little we love ourselves every single day. That lack of self-love is at the root of everything. I'm not different or special. I was dedicated to my healing process. And you can be too. Everybody has a route. Something I go through in our sessions, especially in Hidden Treasures. Learning to love yourself is how you get to your superpower. It's where you have the most agency. It's where you find your freedom. And yeah, it's hard. It's the hardest thing you can do. But my God, is it worth it? It's going to be a bumpy ride the next couple of days, guys. Listen to that meditation as many times as you need. Come into the Discord for support and reach out. Much love.